The search is on for a girl who was apparently kidnapped last night in El Sereno. Gigi's been telling us the people who are witnesses are very reliable, but they still specifically don't know, do they?
No, they don't, but there are two separate sets of witnesses that basically told the LAPD the same story, Steve. Take a look behind me. We're in front of the El Sereno Recreation Center, and you can see a couple of LAPD officers up there. This is just part of a massive search. Joining me live, Commander Andy Smith with the LAPD. Now, this looks just like a very small hill, very easy, very accessible, but behind the hill, you're telling us that it's very rugged and steep terrain.
You bet, rugged, steep terrain, a lot of heavy brush, a lot of steep cliffs that someone could fall off. So we have our officers out there. We've called in for some search and rescue trained officers to come in and give us some assistance in some of the steeper areas.
And I want to show a map because we're talking about 350 acres roughly that you have to search.
That's what the air unit estimates the size, yeah, 350 acres.
All right, let's go back to last night. Shortly before 8 o'clock, the 911 calls start coming in. You've identified at least two separate sets of witnesses that basically told you the same story, and that was?
That was at about 8 o'clock. There's a male here with a younger female, 13 to 16-year-old female Hispanic, and they had some kind of dispute, some kind of an argument. He ended up grabbing her by the hair, striking her at least once, and dragging her up the hillside behind us. Apparently he was tearing off her clothes because we found some articles of clothing on that hill that matched what the victim was wearing.
And we're taking a look at those items of clothing right now. We're talking about some Puma tennis shoes, a top, some gray leggings, and a sort of a purple scarf-like wrap.
Right, that's exactly what the witnesses described the individuals wearing. So apparently this guy was ripping off clothes from this woman as he was dragging her up the hill. Witnesses followed as far as they couldn't see any further, called the police. We got up there and started searching, called in our bloodhounds. We've got more coming in right now. We've got our horse detail that's coming out here momentarily, and we've got about 40 officers up here right now.
Now, she's been described as being very young because of her size. She is said to be petite, according to witnesses. She could be as young as 13, but she could actually be an older woman, just very petite.
Right, where she was described 13 to 16, that was based on her size. They weren't that close, so they couldn't see her facial features, but 13 to 16-year-old based on her petite size. Could be a little bit older, just a small in stature person.
And an important fact is the clothing that you found most likely does fit a very petite girl.
Exactly. It looks like a small pair of shoes and small articles of clothing, so that would match it. And the clothing that we found exactly matches what the witnesses said the victim was wearing.
All right, Commander Andy Smith with the LAPD. The search here in front of El Sereno Recreation Center does continue. If you have any information, a loved one that might be missing, if you recognize any of those pieces of clothing, please call the LAPD. And that's the latest from El Sereno. We'll send it back to you in the studio.